Cricketers call it sledging, or chirping, the business of trying to undermine your opponent with verbal abuse. It's a dismal habit that shows us sport at its most small-minded and should have been banned long ago. But this week it has done the world a favour. In the test in St Lucia, the West Indies bowler Shannon Gabriel was bad-mouthing the England captain, Joe Root. What Gabriel said the stump microphone did not catch, but it did bring us Root's reply, "Don't use it as an insult. There's nothing wrong with being gay." Root was on his way to a much-needed century, but his return to form was overshadowed by his remark. "Boy, do I applaud Joe Root's reaction here," said Nasser Hussain, once England captain himself, now Sky Cricket's most trenchant voice. "For me, his 12 words as a role model will be in the end more important than a Test 100 or possible victory." St Lucia is one of 9 Caribbean nations where homosexuality remains illegal, unlike Gabriel's homeland, Trinidad and Tobago, but the cultural backdrop makes no difference to Root's position. He thought he heard something homophobic and dealt with it. He was cool, calm, collected, and right. It should not be a big deal, nearly 20 years into the 21st century, that a leading sportsman calls out homophobia. Women's sports are way ahead on this front. In 2016, Kate Richardson-Walsh led England's hockey team to Olympic gold, 3 years after marrying one of her teammates, Helen. In 2017, cinemas showed a movie, Battle of the Sexes, that was partly about a gay love affair Billie Jean King had in the 1970s when she was the world #1 in women's tennis. 40 years on, no professional male footballer in Britain has ever come out during his career. A cricketer has, Steve Davies, the Somerset and former England wicket-keeper. It was brave of him, but, with only 8 caps, none of them in tests, he may not be quite well known enough to have had a wide impact. Root, unmistakably, is well known enough. And the circumstances helped too. He was not giving a press conference, he was not being paid to promote anything, he was just being natural. He is, by all accounts, a decent person, and he showed it even in the heat of battle. Afterwards he was statesman-like, insisting that what was said on the field should stay there. It was a bit late for that, but Root was being magnanimous towards Gabriel. He could have been following Michelle Obama's advice, "When they go low, we go high," by speaking out. Root joins the select club of men in British sport who have stood up for social tolerance. The unofficial chair is Andy Murray, who identifies as a feminist and proved it in 2014 by employing Amelie Mauresmo as his coach. The club's vice-chair is the England football manager Gareth Southgate, who recently congratulated Raheem Sterling on his bravery in pointing out how differently he and a young white player had been treated by the tabloids. "Football is a mirror of society," Southgate argued, in his measured way. "Unfortunately, racism exists in society, and so there are times when people seem to use the opportunity at a football ground to fuel that. We have to stand strong as a game to make sure that does not happen." Southgate has also said there were racial undertones to the Brexit vote. Well, obviously, but good for him being prepared to say it, and thus dismay people who manage to express racist views while supporting a multiracial team. Root's remark was not just good for the cause of tolerance. It was good for the game of cricket, which tends to be culturally conservative, verging on reactionary. Anxious that cricket holds little appeal for women and children, the England and Wales Cricket Board is bringing in a new format called the 100, played nowhere else in the world. 12 words from Root may end up doing more for cricket's image than a £40 million tournament. Tim Delisle is a former editor of Wisden Cricketer's Almanac.